today, GMF Media. My name is Felix, and what's your name, brother?
My name is David Kit Yosen.
What's your role in the Ghanaian Methodist Fellowship?
I'm the secretary for the fellowship.
Right. So today we are sitting in a very different environment that we are not used to. I mean, this is my first time I'm sitting in this church called Beckenham Methodist Church. Why have we found ourselves here at this point in time?
Thank you very much. That's a very important question. We found ourselves in this place because during the next week, 22nd of January, we are coming here for the first time to worship. Our usual fourth Sunday worship in the afternoon. We are coming here at 3 o'clock, 3 to 6 p.m. to worship as Ghanaian Methodist Fellowships.
Right. So, as part of the service, what are we looking forward to? Who are the people we are expecting? And what is really the essence why we have had to start this here?
Well, thank you very much. The Methodist Church Britain gave us the opportunity to come and explore this place. If we like it, then why not? They would encourage us to use this place for our worship services. And you realize that in the United Kingdom these days, the church memberships have declined, and the big churches, massive churches are selling and all that. But this place is disposing it, they have preferred to give it to Ghanaian Methodist Fellowship.
Right. So does that mean eventually this place will become our own? We're going to have a license to say that we are the landlords. We're going to sign a license, or it will be still in the hands of the Methodist Church?
Initially, it will be in the hands of the Methodist Church Britain. But as one time goes on, maybe within a year or two, it will ultimately be ours.
Right. Thank you. Finally, what is your message to, as a secretary of the fellowship, what's your message to our members, and even further, those people who are not already members of the fellowship? What do you say to them?
What I say to our members, both past and present, is that please encourage fellow Ghanaians to come and join fellowship with us, because most of our members in the United Kingdom have gone into other one-man churches and all that, but at the end of the day, they still remain Methodists. That's the key thing. And therefore, we want them back. Come home, let us think about it. We do projects in Ghana. We're not here for fun. We do important projects in Ghana. We want to support the Methodist Church in Ghana to do what they are doing. They're doing a lot in the whole Ghana. It's a massive place. It's a small country, it's a big place. So we want to encourage ourselves to come together, increase our numbers, and we support charitable causes at home in Ghana.
So we hope and pray. Thank you, Brother Gates Johnson. Next week we will have a very full house, and we give praise to God. Thank you very much.
Amen. Thank you very much.
I'm Godfrey Jesse Addo, former GMF secretary and currently the chairman of the Beckenham Methodist Church Clock House Project Committee.
Right. That's all right. Thank you. So tell us what the committee was all about, what was set forth to do as far as this church is concerned.
Okay. The committee was set up by the CMC of the GMF chaplaincy, and the reason for setting up this committee is a follow-up to the Methodist Church Britain's recent change in their policy to allow language and cultural fellowships to form congregations within the British Methodist Church. So we were approached, that is the GMF, were approached about one of the churches, that is this particular church, which is Beckenham Methodist Church, Clockhouse Road. The church became empty, and they were considering what sort of use they can put it, either to sell it or to hand it over to another group that were willing to use the church. So the CMC set up this committee for us to assess the offer that was given to us through the British connection. And so they set up this committee for us to evaluate and also do due diligence to ensure that this offer was actually something that would serve our purpose as a chaplaincy. So certainly we had to come here as the committee. We had within the committee a technical team made up of people or members with construction background. So we had one civil engineer, we had a quantity surveyor, and an architect. So we came and met the church authorities. By the way, this is part of Bromley Circuit. That's right. So we came and met them. After doing the due diligence, our recommendation to the chaplaincy was to accept this. Firstly, to start a South London fellowship services, monthly services, which will be just every fourth Sunday. So whilst St. Mark's is organizing their monthly service on the fourth Sunday, those in the south of the river will be using this place as their meeting place. So the first meeting or service, which is going to be an inaugural service, will be held on Sunday, the 22nd of January, 2023.
Action. So, but you see here we are sitting in Beckenham Methodist Church this very afternoon, getting ourselves ready, getting the place ready for an opening or welcome service next Sunday, the 22nd of January. What do you expect next week, Sunday, when the GMF gather here? What sort of people are we expecting, and what is the message of encouragement to invite others to come?
Thank you, Brother Felix. We are really looking forward to the inaugural service next week, Sunday. We are very excited, and we have already started the publicity among the fellowship members, inviting everyone, including those in North London, to join us for this inaugural service. And we also expect our choir to grow. We are considering asking all members to wear our GMF chaplaincy cloth as well. We have our secretary here today, and I'm sure he will take that on board and disseminate that information to our members so that they turn up in their numbers. I mean, if you see the arrangements we've made here today, you will notice that we've made the place very formal. I mean, the first time we came here, the arrangement was quite depressing, and we have made a big difference today by rearranging the seating format. And so we are really looking forward to next week's service. We will be inviting people from the connectional team who are responsible for the language and cultural fellowships. Okay. And the ultimate goal is for us to start as a monthly fellowship service, but we aim to develop this into a congregation, a Ghanaian congregation in South London. And we are hoping that by the end of this Methodist year, that is by August 2023, we will be in a position to form a new congregation over here, and that will be our first Ghanaian Methodist congregation in London. And by the way, I have to add that we will still remain part of the Methodist Church Britain, and we will be part of the Bromley circuit, where this particular church is.
So for a start, we will only be meeting here on the fourth Sunday of each month. Just as at the moment we meet on the fourth Sunday as in Mark's in Tottenham.
Precisely.
It is now.
Precisely.
Right. So we are not replacing the St. Mark's services. There will be two services on every fourth Sunday, one at St. Mark's and one here.
Precisely. And both North and South GMF will be meeting as usual at Central Hall on the second Sunday of the month.
Right.
Yeah.
So looking at the sitting arrangement and looking at the space, how many people you think can accommodate?
At the moment, we are able to accommodate at least 120 seats that we have already arranged. We aim to open up the top, the upper gallery as well, where we expect our choir to be seated. There are chairs that we have been promised by the circuit that they have spare chairs in the other Beckenham Methodist Church. I should clarify that there are 2 Beckenham Methodist churches in this circuit.
In the circuit, right.
This one is Beckenham Methodist Church Clock House.
Right.
That's right. So we've got a station that's opposite there. So people should always bear that in mind.
Right.
Beckenham Methodist Church Clock House.
Okay. So in terms of transport system, you know the area very well. What do you think? Is it accessible for people to travel to?
Okay. I wouldn't say I know the area very well, but I know the area reasonably well. Okay. Public transport is pretty straightforward coming here. For those from North London, for instance, all they need to do is come to London Bridge, whether by bus or by train to London Bridge, and then you take a train at platform either 7 or 6. Wow. Occasionally there's 6. The trains going to Hayes. Those are the trains, and you want to make sure that the train stops us at Clock Tower. Otherwise, you probably end up in Hayes and then be taken back. So please, everybody who's joining us for the inaugural service on Sunday, the 22nd of January, please, if you're coming through London Bridge, make sure you take the train that is going to Hayes, which stops at Clock Tower. Sorry, Clock House. Clock House. That is the station. Clock House. Thank you.
Okay. At the moment, do you have an idea of how many of our members, GMF members, might be living in this area, part of London? Do you have any figures about?
I don't have figures, but I would expect those in the south. I believe those in the south are probably slightly more than those in the north. Right. And we will definitely be more than 100 in the south, because when you look at the number of GMF sort of branches, the local branches. I mean, in your own church you have one, Mana, you have one. We have Bermondsey, we have Warworth, we have Upper Tooting, we have Upper Norwood. That's right. We have quite a number of branches. There used to be even some in Croydon who we are counting on that is likely we can get quite a few. West Croydon can get quite a few of them joining us here as well.
Yeah. Right. So I'm sure many people will be pleased that at least they don't have any worry about congestion charging in this part. So that should be a plus for people to get out. What do you say to people throughout the COVID plus the congestion charging? They have found it reluctant to come to Central Hall. Rolling action. So it's me, Felix, and then Brother JC again here. You just want to find out a few questions about this new place that the GMF have found as a new place of worship. So, as I was saying before, you just want to have an idea how many people that they wouldn't have to worry about the congestion charging because this place is not covered by the congestion charging in London. So I think that would be a good news for many of our members. Through the COVID and even after the COVID, many people haven't been coming to most of our services at Methodist Central Hall. So this should be an encouragement for them that we are now coming into an area where they wouldn't have to pay £15 congestion charging. What words of motivation message will you have for our members who probably have sat at home for several years and might be finding it a bit reluctant to get up and come to church? What do you say to those people?
Yes, as I said earlier on, this is an exciting phase of the fellowship's development. I mean, as you can see from my hoodie, we are 20 years, or we were last year, and this year we are celebrating. So this is actually, a good time for us to start some new ventures, which obviously what we are starting now is one major part of that new venture. This area has very, very sort of limited kind of restriction. I think it's only about 4 hours or 2 hours in the whole day that there's parking restriction here. And as you said, yes, there's no congestion charge here. On Sundays, it's free parking. So, people are most welcome. Those who drive, particularly in South London, they can drive here. We have a few parking spaces there at the side as well, which is about 10 cars. And even if that part is full, you definitely have a lot of free street parking on the side. Plus, we are just outside Clockhouse Station. I was telling someone that literally you can even stand outside and ask your friend to wait for you, that you're coming over to join them to catch the train to London. And there are loads of buses around here, most of them coming from Penge. So public transport is very, very good, and there's also less parking restrictions here. Right. So people, all in all, should be encouraged to, or feel encouraged to come over here. This is just the beginning. Yeah. What we are aiming at, as I said before, is for us to develop a congregation here. So eventually, we are expecting a full Ghanaian Methodist congregation within the Bromley circuit. That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
So apart from the worship area, which you can see nicely, we have arranged the chairs nicely, what other facilities are available within the building itself?
Okay. There are a lot of facilities. We have a vestry, which also has a long vestry, they call it. So that leads into the vestry itself. The vestry has full facilities, a little kitchenette and a toilet within the vestry. The long vestry that leads into the vestry itself also has a small kitchenette. On the lower ground floor, or what appears to be like a basement, we have a preschool nursery that has been here for the past 30 years, and they still use that place. At the end, once we start using here from next week, at the end of the week, they will pack all their stuff, their furniture and everything, into a storage room, so that space also becomes available for our use. There's also a very large kitchen at the basement, adjacent to the nursery, that they can also use. We also have quite a significant number or a generous provision of toilet facilities as well, which is very important. There are a few steps at the entrance, so you see it and you think, oh, this is a bit of restricted access. No, we have a lift as well, as you can see just behind me. So those who have mobility issues can also come in as well. And then obviously there's heating systems, other facilities that are kind of health and safety, like fire extinguishers and stuff like that. Right. So yes, it's an old building, as you can see from behind us. 1907 to 2007. That is when it actually also became a church, because apparently it was like a theater kind of thing before, and then it turned into a school before it became a church. So it was actually built in the 1890s, but since 1907 it has been a church.
Right. So will you then say that as a fellowship we should be on lookout for any churches that might become vacant as when people cease to worship, so that we can, anytime we hear of such places of worship, we should let the leadership be aware, so that we make arrangement to have it.
Precisely.
Instead of selling it.
Exactly. Because we want to revitalize the Methodist Church in this country, right. And I believe we have that enthusiasm as well. And as some of our ministers would say, we are in a stage where we are actually doing what we call reverse mission. That's right. So what the missionaries in Britain in particular brought to us, Methodists in Ghana in particular, we are now reversing. Right. I mean, in London, the Methodist Church Britain are aware of the immense contribution Ghanaians are making to the church. And if it wasn't for the Ghanaians, I believe majority, and other West African countries, majority of the churches would have closed, particularly in London. And so this is a typical example where they were considering selling this church, but we have come aboard and we are saying we will be able to turn this place into a good place where we can worship God in our own cultural style.
Finally, there might be some other Ghanaian Methodists who are not already members of the Ghanaian Fellowship. Are we saying they are welcome in this kind of places that we have just found? Can they come and worship even though they are not members of the Ghanaian Fellowship?
Precisely. You don't have to be, a GMF member. If you are a Ghanaian Methodist, or if you are a Ghanaian who wants to worship with the Methodists, yes, you are most welcome to join us. And to be honest, that is what the message we will be carrying across, that we want all Ghanaian Methodists, doesn't matter whether you belong to the GMF or not. You are most welcome to join us. And if you come in and you like what you see, you are welcome to be one of the founding members of our congregation.
That's right. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.